So this is happening all across Canada. There's 25, I think, cities that are at it. But I think the biggest thing that we all got to realize is we have to make our voices heard. So this is a little call and response. It goes like this. I say power, you say people. Power.
People.
Power.
People.
I say planet, you say power. Planet.
Power.
Planet.
Power.
I say get up, you say stand up. Get up.
Stand up.
Get up.
Stand up.
I say stand up, you say rights. Stand up.
Rights.
Stand up.
Rights.
I say freedom, you say justice. Freedom.
Justice.
Freedom.
Justice.
I say robo, you say con. Robo.
Con.
Robo.
Con.
I say freedom, you say justice. Freedom.
Justice.
Freedom.
Justice.
I say Harper, you say arrest him. Harper.
Arrest him.
Harper.
Arrest him.
I say duping, you say D like duping.
D like.
Duping.
D like.
I say Harper, you say arrest him. Harper.
Arrest him.
Harper.
Arrest him.
I say robo, you say recall. Robo.
Recall.
Robo.
Recall.
I say election, you say fraud. Election.
Fraud.
Election.
Fraud.
I say robo, you say recall. Robo.
Recall.
Robo.
Recall.
I say prisons, you say jail them. Prisons.
Jail them.
Prisons.
Jail them.
I say Harper, you say cheater. Harper.
Cheater.
Harper.
Cheater.
I say majority, you say my ass. Majority.
ass.
Majority. I say robo, you say recall. Robo.
Recall.
Robo.
Recall.
I say neo, you say con. Neo.
Con.
Neo.
Con.
I say majority, you say fraud. Majority.
Fraud.
Majority.
Fraud.
I say boot them, you say out. Boot them.
Out.
Boot them.
Out.
I say Harper, you say arrest them. Harper.
Arrest him.
Harper.
Arrest him.
I say robo, you say con. Robo.
Con.
Robo.
Con.
I say global, you say people. Global.
People.
Global.
People.
I say super, you say power. Super.
Power.
Super.
Power.
I say people, you say power. People.
Power.
People.
Power.
People.
Power.
People.
So welcome everybody. To open these, we acknowledge that this beautiful place we're gathered in is the traditional and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. So welcome as we again rally against a stolen election. As you've probably heard, we are joined today by Canadians across Canada, rallying against electoral fraud in over 25 Canadian cities. It seems very weird to me that Elections Canada should need special permission to effectively investigate the legitimacy of a Canadian election. Especially since we know that somebody or some group consciously subverted the 2011 election. Whoever it was, they defrauded and disenfranchised Canadians. I am angry that this government's response has been to look surprised, act concerned, and deny.
Shame.
But they're not doing a very good job of looking concerned, are they? No. The Harper government should be outraged at the serious damage inflicted on democracy in Canada. They claim their majority exempts them from listening to the growing and thunderous opposition to their regressive and un-Canadian policies.
Shame.
Then why aren't they desperately concerned about the basis of this majority? That's right. They should be leading the charge to expose the roots of this criminal electoral fraud. Instead, they are setting a shameful national precedent of suppressing the democratic rights of the Canadian people. Is this what democracy looks like?
No!
Is this what democracy looks like?
No!
Damn right.
It is so wonderful to see you all here today, and I'll tell ya, I am as proud as I've ever been to be a public school teacher in this beautiful province of British Columbia. And it has been quite a week in this province of British Columbia now, hasn't it? Last weekend, hundreds of us showed up to the very first rally in Canada focused on speaking out against this conservative contempt for our Canadian democracy. On Tuesday, I joined thousands of union and other activists at the legislature to raise our voices against the BC government and their disregard for the rights of unions and our public education system. On Wednesday, that movement came here to Vancouver, and students and education activists took center stage, and then here we are today, and BC, we are not alone. Across Canada, Demonstrations like this are happening in 25 cities today. Voices of dissent are crying out across this country, as they've been crying out across the continent and around the world. From the Arab Spring to Occupy, from Bill 22 to robocalls, we are seeing a tremendous resurgence of people rising up to stand for their civil rights. Because that's what it has come to. What we're facing is neoliberal contempt for the rights of the people. We see it at every level of government in this country. As Indigenous rights are pushed aside in favor of pipelines, Air Canada workers are legislated back yet again. We're here because we rightly fear for the health of our democracy. And why is it our governments feel like they can so blithely disregard our rights, your rights, my rights? Through this disgusting electoral fraud, our federal government has shown contempt for the basis of democracy. And if that's what leadership looks like in Canada, then who's left to stand up for our rights? We are! That's right, we are! It is up to us! If we want Canada to be our country where our rights are protected, it is in our hands. Our rights are only real if we enforce them. Stand up to any government who dares impinge on them and say, no, we will not tolerate this. Will you tolerate this? No! We will fight until our rights are respected, and we know we are strongest when we all stand together. These are not disparate movements. At the root of all of them are people just like you and me taking to the streets to say enough is enough. So, in Article 21 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, you get a description of legitimate government. It tells us that the will of the people shall be the basis of the authority of government, that this shall be expressed in genuine elections that are held by free voting procedures that are open to all. So tell me, because I know how well you're following this scandal, in our 2011 election, did everyone have free access to voting? No! So was our election genuine? No! Does this government base their authority on your will? No! So, is this government legitimate? No! And that's why we're calling for a full inquiry and for by-elections where our democratic will was thwarted. Because we only have rights if we fight for them. So say it with me. I say civil, you say rights. Civil! Rights! Civil! Rights! Civil! Rights! Thank you so much.
MP for the Skeena-Bulkley and federal NDP leadership candidate. And thank you for being patient with our bench.
Not at all. How y'all doing? Yeah. All right. And a little upset. Look at it. This is a part of a pathology of a government that we're seeing every day. I represent northwestern British Columbia, where this government and its oil buddies want to ram a pipeline down our throats, and we stand together and we say no, and we're called radicals. Yeah. We're called enemies of the state. We're called anti-Canadian, and I say to this government, every time you do this, every time you offend the sensibilities, the values, and the beliefs of the Canadian people, you bring your defeat as a government one step closer to reality. We all share some common things. We all share some common hopes. And one of those beliefs is that when a member of Parliament takes their seat in the House of Commons, that is an expression of the democratic will of the people. And there are members of Parliament across this country right now in the House of Commons that don't deserve to be there, and they're conservative, and we must have by-elections and get those people out of the House of Commons, because that's our House of Commons. This is our choice. This is our democratic choice. Each one must teach one. Each one must reach one. Nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. Together, my friends, we will do this thing. Thank you so much.
MP for Parkdale High Park, Ontario, and federal NDP candidate.
All bad politicians need a truth animal.
Well, I'd like to say that under an NDP government, every day would have this lovely sunshine. What do you think? What we know is that in the last election, something funny happened. What do you think? And it's not funny at all. It's not funny at all. And the reason that this kind of sticks on the Conservatives is because we've seen the In-N-Out scandal, and we know what they did there. And we've seen them say, if you don't like our internet bill, you're either with us or with the child pornographers. We've seen that. And we've seen them shut down the House of Commons and shut down democratic debate. Well, I'm here to say our democracy is too important to let them get away with this. We need a full inquiry. And if they are found, and they should cooperate with that inquiry, which they haven't been, and if they are found to be responsible, then I think there may be some Conservative seats that aren't legitimate. What do you think about that? I've been an election observer in countries around the world where people have died for democracy. And our democracy is always so fragile. We need to be vigilant. We need to be present. I want to thank you so much for caring about our democracy and being here today. And unlike Conservatives who like to discourage people from voting, we want to encourage people to vote. We want proportional representation so that every vote will count in this country. Lead Now says that's the way to go and have endorsed that. And that's what we're going to fight for. So thank you for being here. And if you're really thirsty after the debate, go across the street to the library square and join us, and we can carry on the conversation. Thank you.
The Confessions of Stephen Harper by Vancouver poet extraordinaire Stephen Collis.
I'd like to thank Stephen Collis, who can't be here today, and I'm going to read his poem. So, The Confessions of Stephen Harper. You should know I have robots. Lots and lots of robots. And not just sneaky election-stealing, misinformation-spewing, phone call-making robots. I'm talking about military drone robots, all-you-can-eat consumer indexing robots, social media and trolling snooping robots, robots that dig tundra in search of bitumen, robots that run for office, robots that vote, though they only vote Conservative. It's a special app we put in there. You should know that the internet, of which I've been informed, is of great concern to me, and I watch it, or have watched it, closely every day. I think only certain approved websites should be available there. I think only certain approved contents should be posted there. I've heard concerns raised about freedom of speech and Charter of Rights and Freedoms, but you know that I have a sneaking suspicion you're all just perverts. And I will protect you perverts because I have your best pervy interests at heart. You should know I watch videotapes of dictators' speeches, from which I borrow liberally. The speeches of dictators fill me with the resolve I need. It's not that I don't believe in democracy. I do. It's just that we've tried that and it was so hard to get elected. And so few people get or agree with me. You should know that I'm not evil. It's just that I know better than you. And we're going to do things my way. I'm sure you'll come around. I can't wait. I can wait while you have your little tantrum. You should know that as a child, I didn't harm any small animals, though I thought about it. You should know that as a child, I knew the other kids were just losers, and that I would win in the end. It's all about winning. And when I said you should give me a strong majority in the last election, it was because I really wanted to win. So who cares how I won? I won. Suck it, losers. You should know that money talks. Really, I've heard it. It's pretty much the only thing I listen to. Now, if only money could vote. Well, actually, it sort of does. You should know that the cops are on my side. You should know that the corporations are on my side. You should know the foreign investors are on my side. Hell, I'm almost popular. I don't go in for all this radical environmental talk. I'm building jails for those guys. Did I mention cops and corporations were on my side? The climate isn't changing. It's just good for business. You should know one last thing. It's about the robots again. Sometimes I get the feeling that really I'm working for them. The way they flash their cash-clean smiles, the way the corporate logos gleam, and the time they showed me that room marked Tarsan's condos, which was filled with row upon row of vases they said were for your children and grandchildren's ashes. And then I get to thinking, maybe, just maybe, I'm a robot. You know? I could have been programmed for all of this, made for the sole purpose of rigging and stealing elections, and you should know, I'm kidding. Gotcha, losers, but hey, thanks for your vote.
And I just wanted to share with you guys, I was organizing the rally this week, and I mean, it came together ridiculously quickly, so, thanks everyone for coming. I called a few conservative MPs. I called their offices because last week Global TV thought they burned me when they asked if I had asked any conservatives to come speak, and I said no, I don't think they would come. But so I did. I called North Vancouver, I called Vancouver South, and just so everybody here knows, their schedule was full today, so they couldn't come. I'm sure they're devastated.
So what do you think of Sarah and the people who organized this demo? Do you think there's a conspiracy at foot? I do. What about our great Canadian institutions that have been unraveled in the last just barely a year? Is there conspiracy at foot? Yeah. Robo-calls, robo-con. I'm seeing a country that has changed in the blink of an eye with Harper at the leadership. What have you seen? I'm looking at going from having a great television, radio, public communication system, CBC, to him supporting Sun TV. I'm looking at respect for government at all levels to a vilification of politicians, except for Libby. I'm looking at a country that used to be renowned around the world as a peacekeeping country, and we sent military troops into Afghanistan, and he's planning to spend $95 billion. So it's not a question of the money, it's a question of where the money's being spent. I'm looking at a reduction in crime, and yet more money for jails. We went from legalizing marijuana to a crime bill. We went for an internet explosion to Vic Tay's Bill C-30, and Libby's got a forum on that on March 21st at W2. I'm looking at the Kyoto Accord to his treatment of Enbridge. I'm looking about the proroguing of Parliament, end of the long census, ending subsidies to parties. I'm looking at the attack of health care, the pensions, women, the LGBT community, student jobs. I'm looking at the lack of a national housing program and thousands of people homeless on the streets. He's dividing immigrant families from each other. I mean, is there any sector of society, the 99%, that he hasn't launched a serious attack against? I think that we have to fight back. I think we've heard some dynamite speakers here today who are willing to lead that fight back, and I think that we have to be with them. In the 10 years this government, Harper, has unraveled policies, funding, and programs that my grandparents and your grandparents and you and I have fought for to make sure the wealth of this country is distributed equally across so that everybody has a right to basic social programs. What's Harper done? Strip it away, one step at a time. He's used negative ads. He's used proroguing of Parliament, and now all of a sudden he's pretending that he's innocent of anything to do with the robocalls that may very well have meant a number of key people who were running against him were defeated. Is this democracy as we know it in Canada, or we have known it? We're learning that there may be tens of thousands, maybe 80,000 robocalls across 38 or more ridings. If you know of any, it's really important you call your local Progressive MP or Council of Canadians and let them know what's happened. We need to get to the bottom of this. We need to call for an independent public inquiry. And we need to have it happen now. And if there's clear violations of our democratic rights, then we need to have new elections. These guys are frightening, and they're powerful, and they're silencing progressive people and progressive media. That's why Rabble and Lead Now, Open Media, and all kinds of organizations like that are critical. We need to join organizations and build organizations and have national events across Canada. Where there's a momentum now, you could feel it at the teachers' rally. We have to build this momentum with each other and cross-sectorially so that we can make this guy crawl back in the hole that he came out of that probably started in the States somewhere. So let's stand together and fight back. I say fight back. You say fight back. Fight back! Fight back! Fight back! Together we can fight back and stop this. Let's stand for democracy today. Thank you.
Hi everybody. It's good to see all of the good people in Vancouver here today. We had a great rally last weekend, and I'm really happy to know that today's rally is an equal opportunity rally. Unfortunately, some of them decided not to show up, but I'm very, very happy to be here today with my colleagues, Peggy Nash, who you heard from, Nathan Cullen, and I know that Brian Topp was here as well. And we want you to know that all of us NDP members of Parliament have been slugging this out day in, day out in Parliament over the last few weeks. And so what we're doing here today, hitting the streets right across the country, is really, really important. Now, I've heard Stephen Harper, and you've heard him say that this is a smear campaign. Well, Mr. Harper, we want to tell you that this is a campaign about getting to the truth. This is a campaign about what election fraud took place. This is a campaign and hopefully a public inquiry to get to the bottom of these incredibly dirty tricks that took place. So it's not a smear campaign. This is about our democracy. This is about our right to vote with fairness and with accessibility and transparency, and to know that those votes are real and they're going to count. So this is incredibly important. Who would believe that this would happen in Canada? This kind of election fraud that's taken place. And it's not just isolated incidents. The more we know about it, the more we know that this is something that was very systematic. Now, when something is systematic, it means it's organized, and somebody thought about it, and they had a goal, an objective of what they were doing. We've seen it take place in the United States, and so apparently it's now arrived here in Canada. So what I want to say to you folks today is that we got to keep doing this until we get that inquiry, until we get the truth about what happened in the 2011 election. Are you with me on that? So are we going to come out again? Are we going to get double, triple, quadruple the number of people to hit the streets? Are we going to do that? You know, one reason that Canada didn't participate in the war in Iraq was because the people of Canada spoke out. And they hit the streets and they emailed and phoned their member of parliament. And that's what we got to do on this issue. Now, I want to tell you that tomorrow evening in the House of Commons, there's going to actually be a vote on an NDP motion. And that motion would give the power to the Chief Electoral Officer the power to request all of the necessary documents from political parties to ensure compliance with the Elections Act, and that all telecommunications companies that provide voter contact services during a general election must register with Elections Canada, and that all clients of the telecommunications companies during a general election have their identity registered and verified. So this motion is going to be voted on tomorrow night. And believe it or not, we are actually very hopeful that this motion is going to be approved. So I want you to get on your email when you get home. It's not too late, today and tomorrow. Email your member of parliament and make sure that they are going to support this motion. Because this motion tomorrow, it's one step, but it's an important step to ensure that there is one, that the Chief Electoral Officer has the power that he needs to actually do the investigation that needs to be done. And we got to back him up on that. We got to back up that CEO. And two, that these companies are registered, that they can't be, all over the place and nobody really knows what's going on, and it's very shadowy and the tactics are so fraudulent. We have to have proper registration and transparency. So this is one step. This is something that we've been raising in Parliament. So I'm going to conclude by saying this. We are doing our job in Parliament. We are making this the issue every day in and out in the House of Commons. And we're going to keep demanding answers, and we're going to keep asking the questions until we get the answers. But we've got to stand together. Citizens, parliamentarians who want to defend our voting system, fairness in voting, transparency, and an end to fraudulent practice. So we got a big job to take on. So let's do it across the country. Let's get more and more people out. Don't consider it a waste of time. I am so thankful that you are here today. Because I know you could do a bunch of other things. So we got to now organize and mobilize so that the people of Canada say to Mr. Harper, we are not going to tolerate this, and we are going to demand the truth and the answers about what happened in the election in 2011. Thank you very much.
Libby said it, and she's so right. There is nothing more powerful you can do with your Sunday afternoon than stand up for your democracy.
Hey, how you guys all doing? So, my name's Ben West. I work for an organization called the Wilderness Committee, but I'm not here speaking on behalf of the Wilderness Committee today. I'm taking that hat off, and the gloves are coming off. The reason why I have to tell you that is because we're under attack. The people of British Columbia are under attack right now, the people of Canada are under attack right now, and our democracy's under attack right now. This robocall scandal is just one small piece of what's going on, and you've heard a lot about it already today, so I'm going to try to not repeat too much of what you heard already. But let's just look at one thing, this pipeline proposal in northern British Columbia. 4,500 Canadians have signed up to speak. That's a record-breaking number of people actually participating in a public process. 4,500 people. The record before that was something like 800 people. And that's an overwhelming number of people saying, we don't want this project, this Enbridge Gateway project, to go forward. Who here wants that to go forward? Anybody? I didn't think so. So you're all a bunch of radicals. Right? I mean, that's what we're being told. We're being told everybody who's got a position that's contrary to the government is a radical, is potentially an enemy of this state. And not only that, if you're an environmental group that's speaking out about this, that's raising concerns about this, you're at risk. Your charitable status could be at risk. Your ability to give tax receipts could be at risk. Your very ability to continue to organize could be at risk, simply because you're taking a position against a controversial project. A project which, by the way, if you take climate science even halfway seriously, is completely fundamentally the wrong direction for us to go. They say it's the gateway project. I say it's the gateway to global warming. And at the same time that this is happening, right here in our backyard in Burrard Inlet, we've seen the number of oil tankers go from 22 tankers before Kinder Morgan, a big Houston-based oil company, bought the pipeline. By the way, it's a couple of former Enron executives. Richard Kinder is one of the richest guys on earth right now, yet the guy who took his job after he left Enron's in the middle of a 20-year prison sentence. These are the buddies of our government right now. They bring people like this with them to the international climate negotiations. It's no wonder that our government has won the Fossil of the Year award now 5 years in a row. Shame. Can you all say shame for that? Shame. Thank you. So, here we are in Canada, this place filled with good people who really care about the environment, who really care about the planet, who really care about our futures, yet we're being represented by this guy who I don't think most of us really want in government. In fact, the voting is pretty clear. The vast majority of Canadians didn't vote for our Prime Minister, yet he's got a mandate to do basically whatever the heck he wants. I agree, doesn't have a mandate, but our electoral system is broken. And right now our electoral system has led to us being in this situation where a guy who got way less than half the votes from the people of Canada is actually representing us. You know, I was going to try to say something funny, although somebody took the wind out of my sails. You know, after you watch Stephen Harper wearing those sweater vests and doing all this sort of packaged political, stuff that just looks like it's all been formed in a focus group, somewhere, it would be hard to imagine that he isn't a robot. In fact, I think it comes as no surprise to many of us that he's being called a robot. I think the only surprise really is that he's actually been trying to reach Canadians directly over the phone. He really has been a prime minister who seemed to be completely opposed to actually talking directly to Canadians. In fact, has done everything in his power to stay completely separate from the average Canadian people and never to be seen sort of in his true state. You know, he's said that we're taking money from American funders, which is just this amazing thing for him to be saying. I mean, this is a guy who worked for a think tank that was funded by American think tanks, that comes out of the American neoconservative movement, that basically everything about him is sort of trying to emulate what the Americans are doing. He wanted us to be in Iraq. He wants us to have American health care. He wants us to have an American tax system. He wants us to basically have all the things that are wrong with America and none of the things that are right about North America, and yet he's pretending to be our prime minister right now. So I think the good thing is that so many of us are being screwed by Stephen Harper right now that it's bringing us all together. And if there's anything good about what's going on right now is that we're building a really big coalition of people all across Canada who want to stand up for democracy, who want to stand up for our rights, who want to stand up for our environment. And together we really can change anything that we want to be changed. Tyrants can always be brought down. So if you're interested in joining me in the fight against the Enbridge project, a nice guy named Jolan just waved some flyers at me over there. There's a big protest coming up on March the 26th, which is the anniversary of the Exxon Valdez disaster. You all remember that. If you want to stop the Exxon Valdez disaster from happening right here in BC, come get involved in that rally. Come on down on March 26th at the Art Gallery at noon. Thank you all so much. We can do it.
When you look out at this crowd and I hear what Ben's saying about solidarity being in our strength, I so believe that to be true. The diversity of people coming together today is amazing. Thank you all so much for being here. Our next speaker, when she got here today, I saw was wearing one of my very favorite t-shirts. It says, "A woman's place is in her union." And I'll tell you, as a teacher, I sure know that to be true. We hear that different groups of society are apathetic about politics, particularly young people. They like to use that. So for us younger set out in the crowd here today, are you apathetic? No! Do you care about your Canadian democracy? Yes! Are you prepared to fight for it? Yes! So is our next speaker, who's Cassandra Cordero, who works with the Vancouver District Labour Council Executive and is the co-chair of the BC Federation of Labour's Young Workers Committee. So please welcome Cassandra.
Hi, everybody. Wow, you're a great looking crowd. Thank you so much for having me today. It's a real pleasure to be able to be here with so many amazing activists to stand up against election fraud in our country. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've heard from people that the problem with my generation is that we just don't care about politics. Do we care about politics? Yes! Heck yes, we do. I'm here to say that yes, we do care. You know, Harper stole government by only 12 seats. And the count right now of affected ridings by this RoboCon scandal is up to about 70. And okay, Elections Canada right now is only investigating about 38 of these. But you know what? If we get by-elections in just 12 ridings and win them, that's enough for us to win back our government. That's enough for us to strip the majority government status away from Harper. So the thing I really want to end on today is a personal message to Stephen Harper. Hey Harper, young people are not only the future, but we are the here and the now. And we are here to make sure that you are not allowed to make a mockery out of democracy. Thank you.
Thanks, Cassandra, for those inspiring words. So we're faced with a bit of a dilemma. Where do we go from here? You know, we've had a couple of rallies. I'm sure the Conservatives are expecting us to just sort of pack it in and wait for Elections Canada to tell us what's next. Is that what we're going to do? No! Are we going to keep fighting? Yes! What I'm proposing is that after this meeting, we can meet. Those who want to go can go, but if people want to take further action, let's start an email list, let's start an action group, let's have a meeting, and let's hook up with organizations all over Canada who are doing this exact same thing right now. So we're going to end this with a little more call and response from Doug. And then we're going to go out into the world and we're going to tell everybody we know, our friends and our family, that now is the time. That we have to work together now, or we are not going to be in a place that we want to live in anytime soon. All right. Thank you guys for coming today. And here's Doug.
Does anybody want to chant to be heard? We have the opportunity of raising our voices with 25 cities around Canada today, and it's time to let them know that Vancouver speaks loud and in unison. So let's do this again. I say people, you say power. People, people. I say planet, you say power. Planet, planet. I say get up, you say stand up. Get up, get up. I say stand up, you say right. Stand up, stand up. I say freedom, you say justice. Freedom, freedom. I say robo, you say con. Robo, robo. I say Harper, you say arrest him. Harper, Harper. I say robo, you say recall. Robo, robo. I say election, you say fraud. Election, election. I say robo, you say recall. Robo, robo. I say election, you say fraud. Election, election. I say prisons, you say jail them prisons. Prisons. I say Harper, you say cheater. Harper, Harper. I say majority, you say my ass. Majority, majority. I say robo, you say recall. Robo, robo. I say neo, you say con. Neo, neo. I say con, you say job. Con, con. I say boot them, you say out. Boot them, boot them. I say robo, you say con. Robo, robo. I say Harper, you say arrest them. Harper, Harper. I say global, you say people. Global, global. I say super, you say power. Super, super. I say people, you say power. People, 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 people. Rockin' everybody.
Thank you all so much for coming today, and I want to give a really big shout out and thank you to a tireless activist and organizer, brought together Canada's first robocall rally that last weekend, put all of this together herself today. Let's give it up for Sarah Bueller. Anything else you want to say? All right. Thank you all so much for coming out today, and I hope to keep seeing ya. Come out, stand up, speak out, and fight for your civil rights. Thank you so much, Vancouver. And we'd love to see you all on March 21st at the Woodward Building for a public forum, because there's still time to stop Bill C-30 on internet surveillance. The protest continues. Thank you.